I know that your community, Altadena, I have so many friends in LA that have lost their homes right now. And I know that your home, you said you didn't lose your home, but it had some damage.
Yeah, the night
What's the
that
community? Well, sorry, you were going to go ahead. You said the
oh,
night.
I
Sorry.
was saying the night that they evacuated half of the town, but not the other half, which I don't know where the disconnect happened there.
Mm,
But I knew there was a fire in Palisades, and I had just started rehearsal for Anything Goes that we're doing at the Pasadena Playhouse with Jinx. First day of rehearsal, and at rehearsal, um, everyone's like, "How's everyone doing?" Because I know the fires in Palisades and whatnot, and they had just announced that there was an Altadena fire, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That's where I live." And I was like, and they asked me, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, so far so good." I think in my head, I was like, "It can't be that terrible." I mean, we have
mm,
firemen and they can probably control it. And then I went home that night and the winds were really strong. There were 100-mile winds and like I could hear the windows just like shatter. Like, I live
yeah.
in an old craftsman house. And so it's like original floor, wooden, it's all wood. My whole house is wood. Like it is just
Yeah.
wood, which is probably not the safest. Um, and so the winds were really strong that night, and I was just like went to my kitchen. I looked out my window, which I usually just see darkness because I have pine trees in the back, and you can't really see. And sometimes with the moonlight, you see the hill of the mountain. But I looked down and I saw a red ball like
Hmm.
glowing in the distance, and I looked at it and I was like, "That, what is that?" And I was like, that's a fire, and I can see it. I
Yeah.
could see it from my kitchen window. That's not good. And so I remember I literally I got worried, and I just remember thinking I need to probably leave, right? And I went to the backyard, and I'm not really a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person. I went to the backyard. I remember just like asking my ancestors, like, just please protect. I'm a first generational homeowner. This is like
Mm,
what I worked with my whole life. Like, I wanted a place that I could call home. When I was little, we moved a lot with my dad's construction company. So we lived like in a new city every year, pretty much. And it never felt stable for me to be like, so for me, I
yeah.
wanted a home that I could like, it's a place where you can drop your hat and you can say, that's okay. I can leave this here because I'm going to live here forever. Um, and I just felt this like the winds were like so strong, like the trees, like it was like 100 mile. Like you can only imagine 100-mile winds going at your face. And I started exiting, and I saw my neighbor, and he was watering his roof, and I was like, we should probably evacuate. And he was like, I'm not going anywhere. He's 80. He's 8 years old. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I've been here 53 years, and I'm not leaving. And I was like, wow, he's not leaving. I was like, ugh. He's like, but if I were you, Harvey, he's like, I wet, the shed out of your house. And I was like, you're right. So I turned on the sprinklers, I left them on, and I put like, we put sprinklers also in the corner of the houses to protect it
Yeah.
as well. And then I grabbed the portrait of my mom and my dad that's hand painted on top of the wall, and I walked out with that. And I said, I'll be back, and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And then like around 4:30 in the morning, my ring light, because I couldn't go to sleep, and I just went to my friend's house and stayed at her guest room. And I literally was looking at the ring light, and there's just balls of fire in the front yard falling from the sky. The palm trees have caught on fire. They're just falling like down. My fence is on fire. The backyard is on fire. Um, by some miracle, like the exterior of the house all caught on fire, and not the frame and not the center. Because in the camera, all the balls of fire that were falling onto the front yard would dissolve automatically with the puddles of water that had let the sprinkler on. So they were falling and dissolving automatically, falling and dissolving. There was some damage, like things got burned,
Yeah.
the roof and whatnot because of flying debris and stuff. But I am very fortunate. There was a lot of smoke damage, which I can't go back into the home for another 2 months with after all
Yeah.
the cleaning and stuff. But I'm very fortunate, very lucky, and I had this guilt afterwards because I had a survivor's guilt. Like I had
Yeah.
this survivor's guilt because of how lucky I had been. But people are like, well, you weren't that lucky because you still got damage. You got a lot of stuff to do, and your property burned. The exterior. I was like, yes, but my house is still whole. He's like, yeah, but remember, you still, it's not about who's, who got it worse, or who got a short end. It's about community, and it's how we can help each other, to rebuild. And the next day, it was locked off. The area was, you couldn't go in. We had to like sneak in to see what was happening because they wouldn't let
Yeah.
us in. And actually, after the first fire, the house in front of us had caught on fire, and they turned it down and whatnot, but there was still embers there, so the fire department had left, and it caught fire again. And so it
Yeah.
started smoking up again, and all their hoses had melted, so they didn't have ways to get water to the fire. So my brothers who were at my place and were trying to like move debris around and like clean up, um, they literally ran across the street, and I followed, and my sister followed, and it was me, my two brothers, and my sister, bringing hoses from our house, connected them to their property because the neighbor who lived next door, their house was still intact, but they were
Right.
worried that their house was going to catch on fire as soon as this debris caught on fire again. So we went back there and we started hosing down this fire. And eventually a fireman came by again, and they're like, "Oh, it's like keep doing what you're doing. No notes." It's like
Yeah.
no notes.
Okay.
It was
Thanks.
great. Thank you. But yeah, because I was like, we really kind of, showed up for each other in the community. And, I have friends who's, live in the street behind mine, and they were also spared, but the next door neighbor was completely to the end of the street. Like when you go through the town, I mean, if you drive on Lake where, my dry cleaners, my bank, my coffee shop, my grocery store, like
Yeah.
everything that you just where you live in this community, there's no life there. Like the
Yeah.
buildings are gone. Like it's like a war zone. Like it's like a movie set that I never want to be in.
Yeah.
And because those images will haunt me, because it's just I can't believe this city, this beautiful city. There's this one place that we went to. It's a hardware store that we had just gotten like something like not too long before for one of the doors in the house, and it's gone. The whole place is gone, except the side of the building is brick, and it has this beautiful Altadena mural on it. And I thought that was so poetic. I was like, yes, it's touched and it's bruised and it's burned, but it's
Mm.
not fallen and it's not
Yeah.
gone. And the beautiful mural is just intact, and it says Altadena and it has a little trolley. And I was just like, yeah, that's very significant. Like it really resonated with me. I was like, this is bad. But this community is built on beautiful people, artists, people who've wanted to build, something to pass on to their offspring, people of color who this was one of the first cities you could buy homes.
Yeah.
The reason I bought a home there was because it was historically one of the first cities that you could buy a home if you were black or brown. And it's not, I don't think that our spirit is bruised, but it is not gone. And I feel
Yeah.
like that we are rebuilding. It'll take some time, but this is a beautiful community. And Altadena is, if you've never been, you should visit. And if you haven't uh, helped, maybe volunteer to help such a beautiful community build back up.